Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and especially you nephew, welcome back to another Riftbound video. And today we have for you a Annie deck. Somebody left a comment asking if I would revisit Annie, and I realized that I only did the constructed deck from the Proving Grounds and never took her for a spin in my own deck building. So that's what we did today. So for a short reminder, we're gonna go over the deck list, and then we have one game for you that we're gonna play and react to, and then yeah, make some deck changes at the end. Be sure if you like the video, you leave a like, and if you want more Riftbound content, make sure to subscribe. I try to drop a video at least 3 times a week. With that being said, let's jump right into it. So Annie Darkchild is one of the starter decks, and it says at the end of your turn, ready 2 runes, and those are your energy for the game. So you're able to curve out and have some left over for some spells for defense on your opponent's turn. And that's sort of what I built this deck to do. All of my spells are damage dealers in one way or another. The only and yeah, wait, no, that's gear. Okay, all of my spells are damage dealers, and most of them are 3-ofs, except for Shakedown. I might want to, excuse me, switch Shakedown out for maybe one of these Disintegrates. This is just a nutty card that we figured out later in the deck testing, but very good. And if you guys saw, you know, the tournament gameplay reactions, and we were talking about how good Kaisa has been, especially with the fact that she is red and blue. It has a lot of draw triggers or draw effects, and so that's one thing that red and purple doesn't have as much of. So I did try to fill out as much draw effects as I could. So there's no like Morbid Return or there's another purple that comes with this starter deck, but I took it all out. This one will draw me too. This one can draw me as well. This one draws as well. So this is Kaisa at home basically. But yeah, let's break this down. So our chosen champion is the Purple Annie. It says when you play me, return a spell from your trash to your hand. So you can, you know, replay one of these spells. And all these spells are, for the most part, cheap. The highest being 4. But it's pretty good 4-cost spell for no recycle. But yeah, all these spells are extremely cheap. So playing this and instantly playing a card that you just grabbed from trash is definitely possible. But that is our chosen champion just in case we need it. Might switch it out for this Annie, but we'll get to that when we get to that. Let's go over the spells. We have Disintegrate. It says deal 3 to a unit at a battlefield. If this kills it, draw 1. And then Hextech Ray, deal 3 to a unit at a battlefield. So same thing, but this one is 1 in a recycle, and you don't draw off of it. Shakedown, choose an enemy unit, deal 6 to it, or unless the controller has you draw 2. So I don't know why I only ran this as a 2-of. This is crazy for a 2 in a recycle. To either deal 6, which is a very high might value in this game. So it's essentially like removal, or you let me draw 2 in the right situations, of course. But yeah, this is a really good card that I might need to up a lot more in any decks that are about dealing damage, especially before fights. We have Void Seeker, just deal 4 to a unit at a battlefield and draw 1, and Incinerate, which is deal 2 to a unit at battlefield. So yeah, all of these just chip damage, that you can spam out with on your main phase and get some of your units inside into a battlefield, or if they attack into you on your when you're defending, you have these that are fairly cheap. You know, these one, the Hextech Ray, the Shakedown, the Incinerate, all of these you get just based off of your leader effect alone when you're ready to. And then the Void Seeker and Disintegrate just needs you to stand or leave 2 standing for the Disintegrate, and then 1 standing for the Void Seeker. But extremely strong removal in this deck. For our units, we have the Pouty Poro. This is mostly just for curve. I need to find, I might need to switch out this Noxus Hopeful, because I do need to find a little bit more 2-cost units, because there's a very low chance that I draw into only 3 cards out of this 39 card draw pool. Excuse me. But yeah, Mace. Oh my God, can I speak today? Mostly for the curve, but the deflect is also a good bonus. Next we have Noxus Hopeful. Its Legion effect is I cost 2 less, so after you play the card, this will cost 2, which is good, but if you have it in your starting hand, you're just sort of stuck with it until you can find another card to play. Darius, it says when you play a second card this turn, give me +2 might and ready me. And this is good, especially because of all the low-cost spells that we want to be using. Because these, you know, it just says cards, not units, not gear or whatever. It's just any cards that you play out from hand. So all these spells are stuff that we want to use either with this Darius or after this Darius is down. Then you can use 2 and this swing in later. We have Kaisa. When I conquer, draw 1, and she has Accelerate, which is really good in this deck. There's no other card with Accelerate here, but she's really mostly here for the draw effect. Like I said, trying to fill up where this deck lacks is just drawing into your spells or your damage, essentially. Then we have one more Annie in the deck to return the spell from the trash, just in case. It's not too necessary, but maybe you call out your Annie too early, then she dies, or you want to just have 2 ways of getting spells back from the trash. It just works well to have one more in here. Next we have Twisted Fate. Now this card I do not see anywhere, and I think that's because there's not a lot of decks that use him to his to his best value outside of this one. I don't know a blue, what's blue and purple? I think that's Teemo. So Teemo can run him to draw a card, and then purple and yellow. I don't know if a leader like that exists yet. Yeah, I don't think there's a purple and yellow leader that exists. And the reason why it's purple and something, because Twisted Fate himself is a purple card, so it can only go into purple decks. But he only has effects with red runes, blue runes, and yellow runes, so those also have to be in your rune deck. But in this deck, it says when I attack, reveal the top rune of your rune deck, then recycle it. Do one of the following based on its domain. And so if I reveal a red rune, I deal 2 to an enemy unit here, and 1 to all other units here. So that's just part of the chip damage in this deck. So I knew this was going to be a good pick, and yeah, I'm pretty sure he's a good pick, especially with his next card we're going to go over, which is Annie. Fiery. It says your spells and abilities deal 1 bonus damage. So comboing that with everything else in this deck, this will do 3 to an enemy unit, then 2 to every other unit. This deals 3, this deals 5, this deals 7, this deals 4, this deals 4. So this just buffs up all of my spells and all of the damage from abilities, which there are more that I'll show you in a second, but by 1. So that's why I think she might be better as a chosen champion, to just have her play her out, maybe on curve, on or off curve depending on the opponent, and if I need this out, just have this at my base, and so all of my spells and abilities deal 1 bonus damage, which is absolutely crazy in a deck like this. Then we have Tibbers, only running 2 of these, just in case when you play me, deal 3 to all units at a battlefield. Like I said, this can be comboed with this Annie. But I don't know if this needs to be in this deck. I don't think I get to 8 runes that often. I'll keep an eye on it this game, but I don't think we did get that far up in runes. But the dealing 3 to all units at battlefields is pretty good, and you also develop a unit on top of that. So Tibbers is not bad. Oh, I just realized this is a signature unit. I never read that part. So only Annie can run this. Huh. I never read that part. That's cool. I guess because she doesn't have a signature spell. That's interesting. Makes me think about other things that they're going to build later. But anyways, next we have, for our gears, we're running 2 Iron Ballista. This enters exhausted, but you tap this to deal 2 to a unit at a battlefield. This is an ability, so it will be triggered off of this Annie effect. So you can deal 3 if you have her out. And then Ravenborn Tome. The next spell, or you tap this, and the next spell you play deals 1 bonus damage. So this can add a bonus damage. If you have this out, it adds another bonus damage. So this doesn't affect, or this one does not affect abilities like this Iron Ballista or the Twisted Fate or the Tibbers. But all of these can be buffed up a damage again. So we tap this. If this is on the field, this is dealing 5. This is dealing 8, or I draw 2. So you see how this is just it's building up, just deal damage little by little to units for a form of removal. And then we're running 2 Seals of Rage because we have a lot of red recycles in here. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This one counts, so 6 cards. Just with that, with red recycles, and there's only one purple recycle, which is the Annie. We're red heavy, running 8 red runes. We're also running more red runes than chaos runes, simply for the Twisted Fate as well, to ensure that we're most likely to reveal a red rune to deal the 2 damage. But at the same time, we're recycling a lot of red, so it makes sense to have more Fury runes than Chaos runes. Finally, for our battlefields, we have Void Gate, which spells and abilities affecting units here deal 1 bonus damage. So you can add that on top of the stack of this card and this card. So you can deal a decent amount of damage to units before even starting a fight, if they're at the Void Gate. Then Zon warns to discard 1 and draw 1 just to fix your hand a little bit. And then Reaver's Row to move friendly units from here to base. This might be changed. It's quite literally only in here, maybe for the Kaisa, because she needs to conquer to draw 1. So if I just send her in there to conquer and then they attack into her, she's only 4 might, have a little bit safety in retreating her. But it's mostly only for her. But yeah, that is the deck list that I landed on. So we're gonna hop right into the game, and it should be at 2 times speed. Yeah, let's break it down. So I'm pretty sure I chose the Void Gate here. And our opponent is playing Leona, so they're running the stun deck. But they did kind of get unlucky with the stuns that they pulled. They have the Candlelit Sanctum, and I have Void Gate. Candlelit Sanctum is when you conquer here, you can, or you look at the top 2, and you recycle 1 or both of them to the bottom of your deck. So my starting hand, I had 2 Twisted Fates and one of the Annies, um, one of my champion Annies. So I just decided to bottom deck both of those because I still have mine in the champion zone, and I didn't think I would need both of them. I do tap 2 for the Poro, and then I recycle 1 to play out the Seal of Rage. Um, and I forgot to restand. I was supposed to restand the room that I had, but it's fine. It's just the beginning of the game. They tap 2 for Daring Poro. And here we were talking. This is something that I learned playing at the release event. So apparently you cannot hide cards at your base. You can only hide cards at battlefields that you control. I didn't know that. I thought you could hide cards at base before. There are videos of me doing that before, but that is not how the game rules go. So that's important. So I was letting him know this clear on Discord, so he just gains the room back. And yeah, so I moved the Pouty Poro to the Candlelit Sanctum, and he passes, I gain the point because I want to look at the next 2 cards in my deck. I know I gotta figure out how to do it real quick. I know that my battlefield is yeah, bottom deck the tippers. I know that my battlefield is the Void Gate, and it probably would be better for me there because it is the Pouty Poro. So if I take the Void Gate, I'm daring him to come at me with this Daring Poro into my favorite arena. But at the same time, I did want to look at the next cards that I drew so I could find something better. And this is just because of bad curve, if I'm being honest. I was looking for something that I could probably use. I don't have the spells that I want in my hand. I do have the Kai'Sa, so I'll be able to draw next turn more than likely, playing the Accelerated Crossfire. But with this, I am, you know, allowing this Poro to just come and kill mine, and look at the top 2 cards of his deck. So there were pros and cons to the moves that I made, but I do think I made the right moves because I don't think I needed. I definitely did not need that Tibbers. I'll say. So I'm glad to have bottom decked it, or I should say, I definitely didn't need that Tibbers right now. And it was 2 units anyways, and I'm looking for spells. Yep, so they play another Daring Poro to their base, and then they recycle 1 to hide a card to the battlefield they control, to Candlelit Sanctum, which is fine. I have the Ballista on point, so I just have to tap it and then deal 2. So tap Iron Ballista, deal 2 to the Poro, and then the Poro will die unless they had responses. They could have reaction spells here. They are a green deck, but it doesn't look like they do, so they reveal the Zonius. He played a Zonius Hourglass, and that will just recall the Poro to his base. I then yep, I tap all 5. I guess not. Okay, so I tapped 4 for the Twisted Fate, and then yeah, just pass the turn at that. I guess I didn't want to draw. I probably should have tapped all 5 because I have the seal on board to start the draw. But I honestly don't remember why I did that, and I just played this game. I guess I'm setting up for next turn. Maybe I don't want the Kai'Sa to just instantly die. I would much rather my opponent push the Poros to the battlefields. Oh, he forgot to get his point. I'm just not realizing. For the last round. So he should be at 3. Oh, okay, no, he fixed it there. Yeah. So you'll look at the top 2 again. But yeah, this is a much better setup play, because now I can tap my Iron Ballista again to attack or to deal damage to one of these Poros, and then use the Twisted Fate to conquer the other battlefield. More than likely pulling a red to deal the 2 damage, and then using the Kaisa to conquer whichever battlefield isn't conquered. He does play the Solari Shieldbreaker, which stuns one of my units, and then Leona's effect is when a unit is stunned, then she buffs a unit. So they decided to buff the Poro, which is smart because now I cannot instantly kill it with the Ballista or the Twisted Fate. I need a different play to do that. The Ballista will instantly kill the other Poro because it is at my favored arena, so it'll be dealing 3 damage to him. So if he did buff that one, I still would have killed it instantly, and it would not have mattered. Now this makes the play a little bit more difficult on my end. So I get rid of his Poro, and he has to reveal because he no longer controls the battlefield. It was a face breaker, so that was one of the stun cards. And then Twisted Fate, so I reveal a rune and it is red, so I deal 2 damage to it. So he'll go to a 1 or 1 health. But then they have another reaction or action with the Rune Prison to stun a unit, and it doesn't deal combat damage. Now I debated on using Disintegrate here, but I decided against it because this is how attack or failed attacks work that don't kill your units. The Poro is only dealing 3 damage. My Twisted Fate is a 4. So the damage that goes through will not kill it, but nor will I deal damage to the Poro to kill it. So because the opponent controls that battlefield, my unit gets retreated to my base. It is still rested because I used the move to go there. So you see me hovering over it just to try to draw, or not draw, to try to force the issue. But I decided I needed another unit on board, or I'd much rather have another unit on board. So I tap 5 and should tap this seal. I should tap this seal. What are we doing? Yeah, for Kaisa, paying the accelerated cost, and then I'll move back here, and it's still 3 into 4. I win that time, and I decide to, I believe you choose which effect you want, so I decide to look at the top 2 first and then draw, which is good because I did not need a second Annie in my hand. I got into another Disintegrate, which is good for me because I left 2 up, so at the end of my turn I will have 4 standing, which gives me just enough for the Disintegrate. So if this Solari Shield Bearer tries to attack into me, I can use the Disintegrate and hopefully and defend. But they actually decide not to. They leave them at the base. Excuse me. They leave them at the base and play out their Leona. I believe that's simply because they didn't have any other play in hand, and more than likely did not want to go to the Void Gate. So I also take this opportunity to set up. I move the Kaisa back, so that I can more than likely get her Conquer trigger on my next turn. I tap 5 and recycle 1 for the Annie, which will buff up my effects, and then I just continue to stack my base, and then I move the Twisted Fate to my favored arena so I can gain a point and also bait attackers into that area instead of the other. But I don't think they fall for the bait. It's pretty obvious bait, but you know, they can want to kill my units. But yeah, currently they can. Okay, so we did a lot of deliberation about this as well. So he used Charm to move my Kaisa back to the Candlelit Sanctum, but that would trigger a showdown, which would mean I would conquer it again, if he didn't have something to remove it. So instead, I was letting him know that he should move the units first, so he gets the conquer, and also spells out of my hand. And then once that showdown, his conquering showdown ends, then he can use the charm to force my Kaisa up, um, and and then the same thing will happen. Because if I conquer it, not only will I gain a point, but I'll also draw another card off of the Kaisa effect. That's the one he decides to use. And then, yep, and then move the enemy unit. So I decided to react to the Conquer first, using the Disintegrate on the Solari, I think the Solari Shield Bearer. And since it killed it, I draw a card. But now now that the showdown is over, goes to his main phase, and then triggers everything, looks at the top two, gets his point, and then the charm resolves, and it's still 4 and a 6. Cannot do anything about that. Strong Leona, and my Kaisa dies anyways, but it's fine. If I left her there, she would have died anyways, so at least I got the charm out of hand. Then they tap forward and recycle for a set. And he actually plays it into the wrong spot. I think he wants it at the Candlelit Sanctum. Yeah. And then passes the turn. So I draw into the shakedown, and I'm like, oh yeah, they don't have buffs out. So I gain a point for holding. I tap 5 for the Darius, and then tap 2 for shakedown. I don't know why I'm not using my seal to instead of recycling, and I was at 10, so maybe the tippers isn't too bad in this deck, but I decided to use the shakedown, targeting the Leona, to get max value, so he can have me draw 2, or it dies. He decides to let it die, and because that's the second card I played this turn, my Darius will become active and become a 7 might, and then I will move. Well, yeah, I can tap the Iron Ballista just to deal damage to it, just in case they had something else like a discipline or something. So I'm already tacking down 2 damage. Discipline will kill my Darius, but it will at least trade. But yep, they said they didn't have it, so look at the top 2, and I don't need the Kaisa anymore. I would much rather have the Hextech Ray in hand on my next turn. And then I gain a point for conquering. And then it's, yeah, I pass the turn. I learning to leave units at my base. This isn't a super high removal deck. And that's GG's. This isn't a super high removal deck, but just having backup units at your base, and especially when you're closing out the game, I find is very important in this game. But the only card that they had to play was the Leona, and I think they had a Defy in hand, but they didn't have any green runes when I played the Shakedown, so they couldn't use it. Defy requires a green recycle. But yeah, the Leona was their only play, so they passed it back to me. I was at 6 points, so both of these whole points would give me to 8. Thus, I would win the game. So yeah, this gameplay worked out well. I drew my spells very late, which isn't too bad, but I still had enough to feed or to continuously removal with this Ballista going off every turn for 2 damage. Twisted Fate triggering whenever he needs to for 2 damage. Having the accelerated Kaisas to finish off fights were good. And then, you know, the Disintegrate that I held in my hand from the start was useful. The Shakedown, extremely useful. But yeah, so that was the Annie deck. Uh, so changes. I don't know if I would make too many changes. Um, let's see, or let's talk about the damage dealers that I left out. So Sky Splitter, this is made for or more towards Volibear. It costs 8 to deal 5 damage, but the energy cost is reduced by the highest might among units you control. So my highest might would be Darius, so this can be 5 off, and then if it's if I've used, I would have to use 2 cards for him to go up to a 7, which will reduce this down to 1. But then I would more than likely be so close to tapped out that this wouldn't even matter. Falling Star, this definitely is a possibility. I just didn't like that it recycled 2 runes. But maybe it's not too bad because I did end up at like 10 runes by the end of that game. So maybe this isn't too bad to deal 3 twice, especially with the Annie. Then I would be dealing 4 twice. So that's that. This might need to go into the deck somewhere. Mm, I think that's it. Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, so that's pretty much it as for changes. I honestly don't think there are much other changes that I need in this deck. Not because like this deck is perfect and it's gonna win you every game. It doesn't have that high of a ceiling when it comes to like competitive gameplay. Like I said, Kaisa is literally just better. Get better draw, you get access to a Acacian Rain. Um, so Kaisa is just better in every way. But it's still a fun deck to play at a local, especially if you can't find all your pieces for your Kaisas. This Annie, most of these are in the Proving Ground set, except for Darius Kaisa, Twisted Fate. Actually, actually don't know where this Annie is. I believe it's in the Proving Ground, but I think it's only one of them. Um, but yeah, it's pretty simple. It's a lot simpler than the Kaisa. Um, so this is like training wheels, I'll say. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. Thank you all so much for watching. Like I said before, if you want to see more Riftbound content, be sure to subscribe. And remember to support your local card shops, and goodbye.